Before we moved, money made sense. The budget added up. Everything seemed to be okay. Now, we've landed in Albania. The same amount of money, but now the budget doesn't seem to always work. $1,400 Canadian now converts to just under 900. Paying your bills? It's a challenge. Balancing one to the other, but we make it. The stress here, a lot less than back home. As the Canadian dollar drops and Albanian lek grows, the budget now seems like a puzzle to put together. This is the unfiltered, real version of life. Every month, going over your budget, doing the conversions, making sure you add those bank fees in too. Was it all worth it? That's the massive decision that I sit and question. Was it worth it? Let's dive right in and find out. Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome to the real side of moving abroad. Let's talk about the money stress. My income, it comes from Canada, but I pay here in Albanian lek. That means when the Canadian dollar drops, so does my budget. I lose money before I even step out of the house. And a few months ago, $1,400 Canadian felt like a huge budget. Now, with the Canadian dollar going down and the Albanian dollar going up, it's making a budget very tight. Now, here's the truth about moving abroad with a teenager who's a gamer. He doesn't care about the cheap food or the cheap cost of living. He still wants those video games that he paid an arm and a leg for back in Canada, he still wants here. So when he says, oh, the game's only $25, that's a big hit because 25 lek here is $50 back in Canada. That's groceries for a week here. So that hits a little harder than normal. His world is all online. He talks to his friends online, he games online, does everything online. So that very expensive computer that we paid back in Canada also had to come down here with us because this was my dream. It wasn't his, it was mine. So we packed that computer up and we put it into 2 suitcases and came abroad. That meant Mom left a whole ton of clothes back home. That means that I now have to start rebuilding my wardrobe. And since I've been here, I've only been able to afford 2 t-shirts. So sitting here, I'm actually half in my pajamas because I don't have a pair of shorts and it's hot out. Let's talk about the groceries. People always say Albania is cheaper than Canada. And that it is. But when you're looking at your bank account every single time you tap your card to pay for those groceries here, it's almost double the price. So it makes it hard when you're looking at your bank account back in Canada and then you look at your grocery bill after you've shopped. So when I go into a store and I've spent, $10, that's $20 Canadian. when I spend $50 at the grocery store, that's $100 back in Canada. And a couple of weeks ago, I bought some groceries, including cutlery, because we had none. I showed my friend back in Canada everything I got, and he said, "It seems a little expensive." Now keep in mind, my son and I are still learning how to shop down here and trying to transition from Canadian Western food to Albanian food, and learning how to cook that is quite difficult for me anyways, because I've never lived abroad. Other people who have traveled and has experience, they can go into these grocery stores and figure it all out. Now, the only thing is, a grocery store back at home is this huge, massive grocery store. Your produce is in there, your milk is in there, your eggs are in there. Everything you need is in one location. Here, we have a meat shop. You go to the butcher here. You go to another shop to get your eggs and your milk and your cheese. And you'll go to the market to get all your fresh fruit and vegetables. Now keep in mind, they only take cash. But when I go into the little grocery stores like Spar or Big Market or Aldi's, they can use your bank card. But when you run out of cash and you're low in funds in your bank account, it becomes a little bit of a challenge. Not even a challenge. You are SOL. You can't just walk into the farmer's market and pick up your veggies and your fruit if you don't have cash. You can't even go and buy your water bottle that you use for cooking or drinking if you don't have cash. So there's only a few grocery stores that actually have fruits and vegetables, but it's a very small amount, and it's really, really hard to get exactly what you want, and they're priced higher. So that's a whole new challenge for me. So if you're spending more in the grocery store and the Canadian dollar is plummeting while the Albanian lek is going up, you're not getting as good of money value as you once did. And I've only been here since April, and I've noticed the prices going up a little bit more. So if that's already happened in a few months, and what my friend has experienced over the last year is different than what I'm experiencing, is it now still worth staying in Albania over staying in Canada? Here's the other thing. People talk about that homesickness when you first get here in the first 3 months. And I went through that last month when things got tough. And I wrote it out. And now I can see a better, clearer view of living here. Meanwhile, my poor son, who doesn't get out of the house very much, is now starting to get that homesickness. And he wants to go back home. And he's done the research on looking at different provinces in Canada. But again, I sit here and I'm like, it's tough here, but it was tougher back in Canada. Here, it's just the two of us. I don't have to worry about roommates. I don't have to worry about bringing in people to help me cover the rent. We are having a tough week this week. We've gone through that last month too, but it will get better. And I know it will get better. So, is it better to stay here? Or is it better to go back home? Now, these are my breakdowns. Rent, for a 2-bedroom apartment in Ontario is about anywhere from $1,800 to $2,100. I only bring in $1,400. So how do you pay your bills? My my rent here is 450 lakh. Converted that to Canadian dollars, that's $781.86. Not bad. You won't find that in Canada. My place also came fully furnished. The things that we needed to get: blankets, pots, pans, cutlery. That was our basics. Oh, we did buy some new towels, so we have 4 towels now. So when I wash one, we still have one to use. But everything else was here. Okay, I take that back. See that pretty little toaster? I just bought that because my son was asking for toast. Has he had toast? No. But I have. And I bought a kettle to make coffee. So it's been very, very limited things that we needed to buy to live here. We brought our electronics, we brought our pillows, but there was pillows provided and sheets for us. Not all apartments have bedding, okay? So keep that in mind. But ours did. We had a few cups, 2 plates, and then my friend was so nice enough to give us some plastic cutlery. So we made it through for the first month until I could afford the cutlery. And so when I told my friend that my grocery bill was $60, that included the cutlery that I bought, which was, I think it was 8 lek. So that's $16 back home. Can you buy a set of 24 cutlery for $16, even at Walmart? No, I've checked before I left. So we lucked out. We got a lot of stuff in our apartment when we moved in. Now, hydro for 2 months here was $130, but in the month of April, I had the heat running because it was very damp in my apartment. And coming from Canada, it was a big change. So we had the heat running for probably 2 weeks. So I moved in on the 21st of this month, but I'm paying for the whole month of April. I wasn't even gonna argue with the landlord on that. So it was $130 for my hydro for 2 months. And because I'm on the ground floor and these buildings are concrete, it does keep the coolness in my apartment. So I don't have to run my air conditioning as much as somebody maybe on the top floor of an apartment. I am on the ground floor. My water bill is $7 for 2 months. And back in Canada, my water bill was anywhere from $50 to $70, and my hydro ran me about $250 to $300 for a month. And that was for a small apartment. That's probably a little bit smaller than what I have now. So that's a lot of savings there. My internet runs me $15 a lek a month. That converts to $30 back in Canada. My internet in Canada was over $100 a month. And the internet here is a lot faster. It's a lot smoother. We don't have any problems with it at all. When we had a big power outage the next day, we were having some problems with our internet. It slowed down, but after reaching out to the internet provider, which is Digicom, I text them and they walked me through the whole thing on resetting my modem. We've had no problem since. So yes, I get where my son's coming from, but also at the same time, and as much as I miss Canada and wish I was back there, because then I don't have to deal with visa fees or paying taxes because it all comes off your paycheck. Here you pay for it separately, so I'm about to go into that and doing my visas and paying taxes, which I haven't done yet. Those are scary things to me, and I'm like, those are the things that my brain's just like, run back to Canada, run as fast as you can. But I keep thinking about all the pros and the cons and why I left Canada. And it gets down to, I'm happy here. Yes, we are gonna have 1 week of absolutely struggling because I messed up on my budget this week, but also there was some charges from Canada that came out of my bank account that I'm still trying to figure out how these came out. When I canceled, Netflix, and I canceled Prime, and I canceled a bunch of other things before I left, and now mysteriously enough, they're back coming out of my account. So I need to figure out that puzzle to try to get a refund on that. But because of those, it's kind of left us dry this week. But the week will go fast, and before we know it, we'll be back on our feet again. And I get that I have said the struggles before, and I have had a lot of negative feedback about it. But you got to understand that when somebody says, oh, it's a struggling week down here, it's totally different than back home. Yes, we don't have food banks to run to, but there's always ways to make a little bit of money here or there. And you always have food in your house. You just have to be creative on what you have on those weeks that you are struggling. And again, we wouldn't be struggling if these things did not mysteriously come out of my Canadian bank account. Now, the other thing is that when I get money in and I walk down to the ATM, I'm paying the conversion fee, I'm paying for an ATM fee, and I'm transferring it from Canadian into Albanian lek. So when I pull it out, my bank will only allow me to pull out a certain amount of money. And then I have to go walking back down the next day to pull some more out. But in the meantime, I'm then paying another ATM fee and another conversion fee on top of that. So every single time I go to the ATM, I have to pay money. Believe it or not, I'm doing a video on how my teenager is surviving. I didn't tell him I was recording, and just before I started doing this, he was making a whole bunch of racket, and I wanted him to make that racket during this video so that you could hear what I have to go through when I'm recording and what it's like living with a teenager. And now he's perfectly quiet. So anyhow, I get charged 2 times, 2 conversion fees, 2 withdrawal fees. So that comes off of it. And last week, when I went to the big mall, I went to Tag with some friends, and I had to stop to get some cash out because I needed it when we came back to Furnished to be able to pay for my fruits and vegetables and my bills. And I got to the ATM and I knew I had 400 Canadian in there. The bank would only let me take out 50 bucks. Okay, so that's in lek. So that's like 5,000 lek. And I was like, what? When I looked at my receipt, I got 50 in cash, but in total, It was $106 that came out of my Canadian bank account. Because 50 lek turns into 100, and then I got stuck with $6 Canadian ATM fees. Yeah. So 50 lek for $106 Canadian. I was not impressed. Not at all. But these are the things you have to get used to. And my mind still gets blown every single time I'm at the ATM or when I pick up my phone and I check how much money's left. It still boggles my mind when I'm buying something for, 12, which is 1,200 lek, and I see $24 Canadian that has come out of my bank account. And then the next day I see, $6 charge for ATM, $3 for debit. It's crazy. But it is what it is. So will I change? No. This is home now. And it's a big, big adjustment. So thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below. I love hearing from you guys, and I love any ideas that you share with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I really, really like to hear from you. I am trying so hard to bring my sub count up, to bring you more videos. Once again, this is Carrie Unplugged. Till next time.